I want to go to Victoria now and catch up with the Mayor of the Moreland Council. His name is Mark Riley. He joins us live from there now. Thanks for joining us, Mark. An extraordinary situation, your council, because it's a relatively new council formed through the amalgamation of pre-existing councils, and you've gone with the name Moreland. I think it was chosen for you basically because of a suburb, but now you've discovered the origins of that name and you don't like it.
Well, yes, we formed, the Amalgamated Council formed in 1994 and Moreland was the one that was chosen. Doing a bit of diving on that, it seems that there was some input from the community and that was the one that was chosen to it joins. It's not actually a suburb, it's a road and a station between the old cities of Brunswick and Coburg, Chris, and when they joined with a little bit of Broadmeadows from that period, the city of Broadmeadows, those three bits of old former councils formed the new council of Moreland, and that was the name that was chosen. Yeah,
probably because it was neutral. It didn't favour any of the pre-existing councils. But you find out that the name Moreland for that area stems from somebody's attachment to Jamaica, a plantation in Jamaica, and that was linked to slavery. So you don't want it. Isn't that a tenuous link? I mean, there's so many names you could make that sort of connection with, like anything related to any name of any state in the south of America, for starters.
I'm sure the name is being used in many places. It still exists in Jamaica, but the information that was tabled to me just a couple of days after I was elected to mayor was that it was a farm that had been operating in the 18th and late 19th century by the McCrae family, and the McCrae that came and purchased the land, which was actually taken by the British and sold off without any consent from the Wurundjeri Woi Wurrung, was then handed on to new British settlers, and he was one of them, and he'd made his money, and the family had generated money from that farm by producing rum and sugar, and in not just having slaves work the farm, but they were also trading, so they were slave traders as far as I understand. So there's a number of things that really link up that, and they were doing that for a century. It was just at the end of the slave trade. And in fact, when the slave trade finished and the English government or British government ruled that should no longer be the case, they were allowed to keep those slaves on the farm for a further 4 years.
Yeah,
when in fact they were not even meant to be slaves anymore.
We're all appalled by slavery. We can't understand it in our modern world how it ever existed, and we're glad we got rid of it. But the name Moreland hardly has a direct connection to slavery. You could, as I say, you could use the word Georgia or Virginia or anything else to say that's got a link to slavery. By all means, change the name of your council to something more local, but it just seems like such a tenuous link. You'll be able to link just about every place name in the world to slavery somehow.
I think you're making I think it's an interesting point you're making, but in this case, once we found out this very strong link, we're talking about dispossession of country by Indigenous people in Australia as well, and this is the first exchange of the land when in fact there was no permission to sell that land by the Wurundjeri Woi Wurrung. The other point, Chris, is that it's there are many names out there that we could choose. We've got a slogan in Moreland that says we're one community proudly diverse, and when you are excluding or you've got a legacy that you've been handed somewhat unknowingly at the time, we probably should have done people should have done more research at the time, but it's certainly...
Yes, sorry, just quickly, have you got a name? Have you got a new name, or is there going to be like a competition or something?
No, we need to go to the chamber next week as a council and actually set that direction, Chris, and that will make that decision to really clarify what we're doing, and then we'll go out and talk to our community and ask them for some suggestions, and that's a really important process that will include people. There's 180,000 people who want to know all their views. There'll be lots of different views. I'm hearing them already.
Good on you.
I look forward to hearing more, and I'm sure the rest of the councils will want to hear that as well.
Thanks for joining us, Mark. I appreciate it. Mark Riley there, who's the Mayor of Moreland for now, but as you heard, it's not going to be Moreland much longer. Give it a better name. And look, they'll end up with an Indigenous name, and that's a good thing. I love Indigenous names, but that's what you want to end up with if you want something historically accurate. But honestly, you pick any of the British origin names of suburbs and towns around Australia, and you'll be able to link them historically to slavery in some aspect.